began asymptomatic
Several
testing.
student organizations at FGCU, Oregon, and we're going to play Guess the Song.
Hello, welcome to Hanging with the Executives here at the Bauer School of Music.
And you're watching ENTV.
Welcome back, everyone, to week 2 of Hard Hitters. It was a pretty exciting week 1 of the NFL season. We had some great matchups between a whole bunch of different teams, some major upsets, and even a tie week 1 between the Colts and Texans. Despite all those amazing games, I think we're in agreement here that the greatest game to cover this week was the Steelers and the Bengals game. Your matchup of the week, Carson. The Bengals took the loss 23-20.
Yeah.
What do you got to say?
Just unfortunate would be how I describe that game. You know, Joe Burrow had the worst game of his career, and that will probably be the worst game we ever see from Joe Burrow. But I guess I take some solace in the fact that Joe Burrow turned the ball over 5 times, was sacked 7 times, and we were still just a blocked extra point away from winning still. I honestly, and this is going to make some people angry, but I honestly think that the Steelers didn't beat us. We just beat ourselves.
I think the Bengals, they were a bit hungover from the Super Bowl. That tends to happen to a lot of Super Bowl losing teams. And the Steelers, they had nothing to lose week 1. They won in Cincinnati. They played great defensive football. How the Steelers always play football, and they came away with a big win in overtime.
Yeah, I think this win by the Steelers really just shows how important a long snapper position is, because, I mean, that's part of the reason, pretty much the main reason why they missed that extra point that would have got them the win and not even went to overtime.
Yep.
All right, but moving into our predictions for this week. First matchup, Thursday Night Football. First game for Amazon Prime. We got the Chargers versus the Chiefs. Who we thinking here?
I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one. I think both teams showed a lot of promise last week, but the Chiefs showed so much more than the Chargers. I think Herbert's still a great quarterback, but Mahomes still runs that division. I just think this is going to be an absolute shootout. There's going to be a lot of points put up on the board, but as much as I want to say the Chargers run the division now, the Chiefs are still the leaders of this division, and they will prove that when they beat the Chargers this week.
You know, big game here, Chargers-Chiefs. This game is in Kansas City. Chargers did win last year's matchup early season in Kansas City, but this game's at night. The Chiefs crowd can be very loud, and Chargers still have a lot of new pieces that are probably trying to gain chemistry with each other. I think Kansas City wins this game.
I'm going to go the opposite here from you guys, and I'm going to go with the Chargers here. You know, I think the Chargers, they've really made some great additions on defense. I think Khalil Mack is going to be a huge part of this game for them, and they played pretty well last week against the Raiders. All right, first matchup for Sunday, we got the Jets versus the Browns. One team won last week, one of them didn't. Who are we thinking here?
Jets still dealing with some issues. They're without their top dog, Zach Wilson, out with injury probably for the first 3 or 4 weeks. And this game's in Cleveland, and I think the Browns should take this with ease.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe Flacco. I know you're an elite quarterback, but you're not going to beat the Browns this week. I'm sorry. The Browns, while they have Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback, they beat Baker Mayfield last week in the Panthers. I'm going to take them again to win this week at home against the Jets. On to the Commanders and the Lions, 2 teams that showed a bit of promise last week. The Commanders got the win, and the Lions almost making that comeback victory against the Eagles. I'm going to go with the Lions here. You know, I picked the Commanders to win last week, and they won. I thought they played okay against the Jags, but I don't think it's going to be enough for them to beat the Lions this week, who showed some promise there late against the Eagles.
I think the Lions showed a lot of promise. They were down big to the Eagles, but they came back, made it closer, and didn't expect it at the end. I think the Lions, they do have a lot of promise this year, and I think they do start getting some wins, and they start by getting this win over Washington in week 2.
Next up, we got Tom Brady's least favorite matchup of the season, Bucs versus the Saints in New Orleans. I'm going to roll with the Saints.
I feel like the Bucs take this win this week in New Orleans, and I think the Saints still trying to get used to a new head coach, still some new pieces on their team, and the Bucs are still going out on their revenge tour, possible farewell season. I think the Bucs get this win.
All right, next up, we got the Panthers versus the Giants. Panthers coming off their close loss to the Browns, and the Giants coming off their win against the Titans. Who do we think here?
All right, well, I get that the Manning cast cursed is a thing, but I honestly, and this is kind of surprising me, if you told me last week that this would be my pick, if I was picking this team to win a game, I would have never believed you, but I am picking the Giants to grab this win over the Panthers. I never thought I'd be picking the Giants because I just thought they would be so bad this year. I still don't think Daniel Jones is a very good quarterback, but Brian Daboll came in and somehow reanimated the corpse of Saquon Barkley.
Up next, we have the Steelers and the Patriots, two teams that didn't play particularly well last week. The Steelers getting their win against the Bengals. But I'm going to roll with the Steelers here.
I'm going to take the Steelers in this one. I think they've got a better defense. I think they got better weapons on offense. I think they have the better QB, which I think might be a bit controversial to say, but I think they do. So I'm going to take the Steelers in this one.
Next matchup, Colts versus Jags. Interesting matchup here. The team that the Colts never seem to play well against. And last week the Colts did not play well against the Texans, at least in the first half. But I'm going to go with the Colts here. I don't think the Jags beat them again.
Is this game in Jacksonville?
It's in Jacksonville.
Then, yeah, I'm taking the Jags. I try not to overreact to week one, and I'm going to try my best not to, but tying the Texans when you're supposed to be a playoff dark horse or a playoff favorite and a Super Bowl dark horse, it's not a good look for the Colts. You have the best running back in the league, and you have an upgraded quarterback, and you have a better receiving coordinator. Like, everything about the Colts was either equal to or better than last year, and they still tie the Texans, who blew up their team on purpose.
Our next matchup is Dolphins versus Ravens. You didn't pick them to win last week. Are you going to pick them this week, Kevin?
Bit of a shocker. I'm still going with the Ravens. And the Dolphins, they did look good last week. Home opener win over the Patriots. I think for the Dolphins, this is still a bit of a tough stretch, first 4 games. I would love to see them get whatever wins they can get, but it would not surprise me if the Dolphins come out taking out this week.
Second straight week going against your Dolphins.
He's going for the reverse jinx. That's what he's doing.
Yes. I'm going with the Ravens. How about you?
I'm taking the Dolphins.
Taking the Dolphins?
I feel confident in them. I liked what I saw last week. I think Mike McDaniel is either the best or second best head coaching hire of the offseason. I think he fits in perfectly with the skill set that's on that Dolphins roster.
All right, next matchup, we got the Falcons versus the Rams. I think even if the Rams just don't show up at all in the first quarter and the Falcons get out to a nice, easy lead, the Falcons don't got this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Rams are winning this game.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Death, taxes, Falcons blowing leads. Falcons are still doing the impossible challenge of holding on to a lead.
Seahawks and 49ers. Sorry, Geno Smith.
No.
I wrote you off last week. I'm writing you off again.
Dang.
I got the 49ers here, despite losing last week against the Bears. You know, they played in Chicago last week, basically in a monsoon. They were like playing on a pool, basically, on the Soldier Field. I think that really hindered the 49ers' offensive ability. And so I'm going to go with the 49ers over the Seahawks in San Francisco.
Yeah. As Shaq said one time, I have to apologize to you. I was not familiar with your game. That's how I'm going to address Geno Smith. I'm going to take the 49ers in this one. I think Trey Lance still has a lot to prove, but I think we can't judge him off of last week just because it was a flash flood at Soldier Field. Like, everyone was sliding around.
All right, Joe Burrow and the Bengals against Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. They getting that win this week?
They are getting that win this week, and I would say that even if Dak Prescott was starting. I want to make that very clear, all right? Just because it's Cooper Rush doesn't change my mind. I was picking the Bengals no matter what, because here's the thing. Joe Burrow doesn't like to lose. I read a thing on Twitter that he sat at his locker alone for 45 minutes and talked to no one after the Steelers game. That means Joe Burrow is angry, and there is almost no better quarterback in the league than an angry Joe Burrow. I still like the Bengals to win this matchup by at least 14. That's my bold pick. Bengals winning this one.
All right. I'm going to go with the Bengals as well. I don't think the Cowboys have any hope left this season, if they even had any to begin with. All right, Texans and Broncos. What do y'all think? Are we riding this week?
Broncos country, let's not miss the field goal. Let's not fumble at the 1-yard line. Let's not do whatever happened last week in Seattle. Let's bounce back this week. Let's ride to what should be a bounce back victory against the Texans.
Yeah, as Russell Wilson always says, Broncos country, left wide. Let's ride.
Cardinals and Raiders. I think this is a pretty interesting game. Both teams lost last week. Cardinals losing a bit worse than the Raiders did. Raiders playing at home. I'm going to take the Raiders here.
Devontae Adams is going to do nasty things to that Cardinals secondary. It's like going to be like a crime on that field. Devontae Adams might go for over 200 or something. I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders.
Yeah, last week he already sent some guy into a different zip code last week.
Yeah, exactly.
Chargers, so.
The Packers could use a wide receiver.
No,
like
we
him.
could.
Yeah,
We really could.
They should call him.
Sunday Night Football. Bears and the Packers, oldest rivalry in football. Chicago Bears team owner Aaron Rodgers against Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Bounce back week for the Packers. That was a disgusting performance last week by the Green Bay Packers. I mean, Justin Jefferson, he was untouchable last week for the Green Bay Packers. But you know what? Guess who got blown out last week, week 1? The Packers. Guess who won 13 games last year? The Packers. So, I got the Packers winning this one. You're out of your mind if you think we're going to lose the home opener Sunday Night Football against the Chicago Bears. Packers all the way.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers too. Might want to cool it with the 13 wins talk. You guys are still trying to figure out who you have at wide receiver. I would not be surprised if Christian Watson just goes missing halfway through the season, and everyone would probably guess Aaron Rodgers did it.
And I don't know why this game is on national TV. This is going to be a big blowout. Probably turn our TVs off by the third quarter. Packers get a huge win.
I really hope that last statement is true, but I won't be turning my TV off if that's the case. On to the first of our 2 Monday Night Football games, the Titans versus the Bills.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever pick against the Bills this year. They probably won't go 17-0, but I'm probably never going to not pick them for the rest of the year just because of how good they looked week 1. Josh Allen MVP, Bills Super Bowl, all that's happening this year. Just calling it now this early in the season, just so all of you are aware. This is the Bills year. This is the year of Bills Mafia. They're going to take care of this Titans team.
All right, final matchup of the week, the Vikings versus the Eagles. I think this is going to be a pretty interesting game here, but I'm going to roll with the Vikings here. If the Eagles don't have an answer for Justin Jefferson, it's going to be over for the Eagles in this one, and I expect that's what's going to happen. I think Justin Jefferson's going to have another crazy game coming off of his career best game against the Packers last week, so I got the Vikings here.
The Eagles have what it takes to make the playoffs, especially after the Cowboys are basically season's basically over for them. I think the Eagles win the NFC East, and I think the Eagles get this win week 2.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to tune in next week to see how we did, and we'll see you in the next episode.